Very often I will dwell in what I call my in-betweeny state. The scientific folks of the world would refer to it as hypnagogia. It is a state between sleep and wakefulness. In reality, then, it is placing your awareness between the physical level and the real side. Very often, when I am laying in my bed, I will practice just being in the new nowness by placing the created consciousness of the personal self aside and being objective to it. And so, it isn't so much that thoughts cease, although this is possible with trained meditators and such, but more so that you are detached from them. And if you are separated from the cause and effect creational personal self, you will now be in the new nowness of your real awareness, the real you. The idea then is, having recognized how to separate the personal self from your real awareness, it is to then recognize the true reality that your real awareness is a part of, that the real you stands in now. Anyway, maintaining this state of just being now while in bed will have the effect of your physical body preparing automatically for sleep as you cease standing in, entertaining and encasing yourself in your mental thought ideas. Dwayne always says, a fun thing is to try and catch yourself as you fall asleep. With this practice, it is a case of not quite falling asleep, but clinging onto the very edge of a physical waking reality, and you then may find yourself bridging the physical and the real side. This practice isn't strictly necessary for becoming more aware, but the in-betweeny state, an inadvertent overspill practice from my astral projection days, where I found this to be the best place for awareness to be, to launch out of body experiences. An interesting side effect of such a state of awareness is the various phenomena you will encounter, and even with your eyes shut, you find that you will still be perceiving your physical level environment, suggesting you are viewing your physical surroundings with your real awareness, rather than your physical eyeballs. And at the same time, you will encounter phenomena bleeding in from the real side, as you retain your awareness in the physical. You will have all manner of anomalies enter your physical level room from the real side, or wherever it is you are doing such a practice. But as a cautionary note, you can get a lot of unwelcome guests too. In a way, we might say, it is an aid to awareness, for awareness is simply that, becoming more aware of what you already is, all of creation, and the real universes beyond, literally speaking. So you certainly can be made more aware of all kinds of real side anomalies, sometimes glean insights, and even communications floating into your awareness as they filter in from the real side to the physical. But fret not, for if you have connected to the real awareness in this manner, which is required to assume this state, the real you knows just what to do in the event of someone or something abrasive manifesting in your room, as long as the personal self doesn't panic and pull you out of the real awareness that can deal with any eventuality. If it does panic too much, you will be pulled out of this in-between state automatically and back fully onto the physical generally. Although, if something has manifested from the real side to the physical, just because you can no longer physically perceive it doesn't mean it isn't there. Better really to deal with it there and then, I'd say. The key is to always have the new you song as your standard defense, and this seems to be an all-round cure-all for ridding monsters, entities, and whatever else from our midst, on the real side, the physical, and this between state. Ill-intended beings simply cannot bear to stand in the vibration of the sound that is the connection to the true reality, the new you song. I've even found it breaks paralysis if some creature or other attempts to exact this upon you. I would even go so far as to suggest it may even break the paralysis often reported by alien abductees. or in the very least be an abrasive sound for any ill-intended alien, and maybe force them to retreat from your presence. During a recent in-betweeny state session, my real awareness detected something coming up the stairs. My bedroom being on the floor above the staircase, again demonstrating the all-seeing capabilities of the real awareness, as my physical body would have seen nothing with its eyes shut, and the house walls separating my position from the stairs and what was advancing. And then on the landing, it took a sharp turn toward my bedroom, and glided toward it at high speed, passing through the very door like an apparition. It looked like a demented ghost or other, was female, and hurled its wispy ghost-like self in my direction. No need to spend a moment ascertaining its intent. It exuded a murderous rage directed at me, and so I instantly sang the new you song, and it kind of popped, dispersing in mid-air before it would reach where I lay. I was able to identify the apparition. It was someone I knew from the physical, but I suggest not necessarily the actual individual. It was more like a projected thought form, for thoughts are creations as much as anything else we see in the simulators. The illusion of solidity would suggest a thought to be less substantial than, say, a building, and yet a building initially was a thought, and through agreement and decision became a physical level actuality. A building thought that would begin on the real side, as all thoughts do, and with the simulator being holographic in its design, there really is little difference between a thought and a building. In keeping with this notion, we perhaps ought to be a little more conscious and aware of the thoughts we constantly are producing, for the thoughts we consistently produce and focus on will become cause and effect actualities that we have to experience, and a single thought can project you into future lifetimes forever, if embraced, if incorporated into the subconscious, and then added to our restricted personal self convinced and decided bubbles of reality. Often we hear of psychic attacks, and we may well consider these to be the actual individuals assaulting us on the real side through the unseen psych levels of our personal selves. And this can be so, and frequently at that. The dark forces do delight in intimidation tactics to keep people in line, especially those becoming more aware. Some psychic attacks may not be so extreme, but inadvertent thought projections of malice, resentment, and hatred directed at an individual from another. Very often, the individual projecting such thoughts will have no awareness of how these are very real and tangible ideas on the real side, and will be sent to those they are directed at. Generally, those receiving them will also be unaware of the thought forms assailing them, unless they happen to be on the real side, or in this in-betweeny state, and have the awareness to move beyond the personal self that may well obscure our ability to perceive them. So I would suggest this was a thought form, and had the appearance of the individual who sent it, who very likely had no idea this would be the result. Based on who the individual was, someone known to me on the physical, but not an aware person by any stretch. Perhaps the strength of any apparitional thought form would be based on how much focus and rage was directed at an individual. And so it is that some monsters we encounter on the real side are very likely subconscious thought forms floating around, many harmless, others not so. But it seems once again, anything ill-intended, be it an actual individual, monster, entity, or even aggressive thought form, is dispelled in the vibration of the New You song, and coupled with our real awareness, which is our automatic protection, and the ever watchful real guides, our process of becoming more aware rolls on.
Thank you, everybody. And just a little reminder for all of you, every moment, every day is new, okay? There's no philosophy, it's no words of wisdom. Simply just start over. Some days are better than others. I remember Rebazar telling me that at one time. We all go through a lot here, and we have a lot to deal with. So you don't have to let certain ideas and silly notions just like take you away all of a sudden that, oh, gee, the guides aren't there, or they're not doing something for me, or something's wrong, or whatever. No, all life is. Just take a moment, use the sun as an example. Just be now and start over every single moment. Let all those things that you've known, just let them go and just be now. And all of a sudden, pretty soon as you practice this, you're going to see how endless life is. It's an isness to be recognized, and it doesn't need attitudes. And so that's that little self. So, okay, everybody, see you next time. Next week is the UK, second Saturday. Today's the first, so it's all for you. Have fun. Let's see what happens next. Bye-bye.